Well, hello and welcome to Talk Time. We've heard stories about students of the schools of hygiene being dissatisfied. They have even gone to the extent of organizing street manifestations and so on. This week we're going to try and find out what is behind the agitation of students of the School of Hygiene and how their grievances may be resolved. You are welcome to Talk Time. Well, hello and welcome back to Talk Time. And this week, we are looking at grievances of students of the schools of hygiene. They have organized demonstrations, they've met ministers, and yet it appears that their problems are not going away. This week, we're going to try and understand the problems of the students and how these problems may or may not be resolved. It is my pleasure to welcome to the studio Mr. Freeheart Owusu Ampomah.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Freeheart Owusu Ampomah is the president of the Student Representative Council of the Korle Bu School of Hygiene. Boss, you are welcome to the studio.
Thank you, sir.
Now, the schools of hygiene, how many are there in the country?
Okay, sir. Thank you for your question. The schools of hygiene, there are three in Ghana. We have Korle Bu, we have Ho, and we have Tamale. These are the three schools of hygiene in Ghana.
Korle Bu, Ho, and Tamale.
Yes, please.
How many students are in these schools?
Okay, so we have few students in these three institutions. There are 1,348 students in this institution.
1,348
in Ghana, across all the three schools.
In all the three
yes,
schools.
Please.
Now, the schools of hygiene, what do you do there?
Okay, the schools of hygiene were established in 1925. The schools of hygiene started with environmental health as a program that was called the sanitary health inspectors. These were known as the Nsamansama in the olden days. And now, throughout 2012, the school upgraded itself at Korle Bu and added other programs to its background. And now the school offers a course called occupational therapy. The therapy, if we talk of therapy, is more or less like a physiotherapy, but that's the advanced form. And if we take accident center as an example, they work there as the orthopedic unit. And also, if the people who comes at the emergency ward with all the fractures, after the surgery and everything, they make sure that they can put on a prosthesis on the person to work and function as normal as that person was living. This is a bit work of the occupational therapy. And the occupational therapy, they are found in the units like the stroke unit, the bench unit, the child health. So, and we have other programs also called occupational health and safety. The occupational health and safety are the safety officers in companies like the Tema oil refining at the ports and even at companies. These are people to make sure that the safety wise of these workers at the company are being assured, and also put measures in place so that there will be no injuries at the end of the day. So these are the programs that they offer at the schools of hygiene.
How do you get admission to the School of Hygiene?
Okay.
If I want to go to School of Hygiene, how would I do that?
All right, thank you for the question. Before you can be admitted the schools of hygiene, you have to apply at the Ministry of Health nursing application. So these are the programs that when you enter into the site, you get the nursing schools and you get the allied health schools, of which the schools of hygiene are under the allied health. So this is how you can get the School of Hygiene form. So if you go to any bank, you said you are buying the nursing forms, but when you are filling it online, you see the nursing schools with the schools of hygiene also under it. We have, so you see the Accra School of Hygiene, you see the whole School of Hygiene, you see the Tamale School of Hygiene. This is the process that you can go through to be admitted in the schools of hygiene.
Now, when you complete your studies at the School of Hygiene, what do you do?
All right, sir. Thank you for the question. When you complete the schools of hygiene, first I'll start with the environmental health. The environmental health program are the people that when you are at the Kotoka International Airport, before you can come into the country, there are people who check you in to make sure that if you are not bringing any disease or health condition into the country. And when we are going out of this country, there are people who also check you out of the country to make sure that whether you are not having any health condition otherwise. Also, when you go to the Tema port, they are the people that they are the first people to get access to the ship that arrived. To make sure that these ship do not carry infections into the country. So, and also when you go to the district assemblies, the environmental health graduates are the people that they make sure that the sanitary issues in the country, they resolve it. And even the Ministry of Sanitation, they are mostly working there. And when you come to the occupational therapy as a program, when you graduate, they are mostly in the hospitals. At the units, as I mentioned, you can find them mostly in the regional hospitals and the national hospitals because of their service and how it is. So that one too, they become occupational therapists in the country working at the bench unit. So in case if someone have burns at the bench unit, there are people who also manage for the person to function normal again. And when you go to the accident centers, so and when you come to the occupational health and safety, these are people mainly posted to companies like Tema Oil Refining, and also like the Forestry Commission, and also every GASM, even GASM, they work there to make sure that there are no injuries, to make sure the workers there are safe, even at the port and everywhere. So these are the kind of graduates who come out from the schools of hygiene.
You no longer do the community sanitary inspections, Sama.
For sure, because now the government that comes, instead of them to employ the graduate from the schools of hygiene, now they employ their own people, for which the people who have gone to receive the technical ideas from the schools are now being downplayed in the country. So now, if you witness, the country is suffering from sanitation issues, because Nanado said he want to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa, but the stakeholders involved are the sanitary inspectors are being neglected. So they can also be employed in these sectors to ensure that sanitation issues are being resolved. So with that, that's where they are being posted at the district assemblies and the municipal assemblies to make sure that they solve their sanitary issues.
Well, viewers, we are talking to Mr. Freeheart Owusu Ampomah, who is the president of the Student Representative Council of the Korle Bu School of Hygiene.
Sir.
And we are talking to Mr. Freeheart Owusu Ampomah, president of the Student Representative Council of the Korle Bu School of Hygiene. We're going to go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, we will start discussing the problems of the schools and of their students. Short break. Well, hello and welcome back to Talk Time, and we are talking to Mr. Freeheart Owusu Ampomah, who is the president of the Student Representative Council of the Korle Bu School of Hygiene. Now, sir, what are some of the problems the schools face and the students face?
Okay, so now the problems that the school face, I will subject it into three components. When it comes to infrastructure, the school is facing challenges in their infrastructure, because now the school has added up other programs, of which they are still using their old buildings. These are the challenge that the school is facing in terms of infrastructure, and also when it comes to the accommodation of the student being at the hostel, they are facing challenges, because these are the schools of hygiene, and they are supposed to make sure they keep on to the promise that the school has laid down as sanitary inspectors. But now, because of accommodation issues, at first these rooms were being created to accommodate only a single person, but now the rooms is accommodating 3 people in the room as I speak to you now. So that's the infrastructure aspect. And when it comes to the employment, now the lecturers are not many to teach these students. So this one too, we have challenges. So at times they involve other part-time lecturers from the University of Ghana and other institutions. And also when it comes to the student allowance, schools of hygiene were receiving the allowance before the ex-president Mahama administration cancelled it. That one, it was cancelled for all head training institutions. So none of the head training institutions were receiving this allowance. But Nanado stood on the forecourt of Kolebu School of Hygiene to promise that he's going to restore the head training allowance, of which he allocated 232 million Ghana cedis to be paid annually to the schools under the head training institution under the Ministry of Health. So now in 2017, as they started paying the allowance, they came for the details of the schools of hygiene. The letter was signed by Honorable Kwesi PratTt Jnr to the schools of hygiene to collate the data of the students, include the e-switch and the bank account and even their date of birth, a whole lot of details of which they provided. And now they started paying in the August 2017. Of which the nursing schools, we are on the same campus with Kolebu Nursing, on the same campus with Kolebu Nurse Community Nursing. In August, the time they received the allowance, the nursing started shouting. You receive an alert on your phone shouting "Alawana Bo, Alawana Ba," of which the schools of hygiene, we also went to inquire and check whether we can see these details on our phones. We went and nothing of that sort happened. So the president also promised that he is transferring the schools of hygiene from the Ministry of Health to the Ministry of Sanitation because of the sanitary issues in this school, so that they can receive a special attention at the Ministry of Sanitation. But as we are being transferred there, those promises have not been met, and is full of frustration to the students and the schools of hygiene. These are the challenges that we face in the school of hygiene.
How much is the allowance?
All right, the allowance per month is 400 cedis per each student. 400 cedis per each student. And now it's 3 years down the line that we have not received the allowance. So if you are in final year right now, the ministry is owing you 30 months, which is 12,000 Ghana cedis. If you are in second year, the ministry is owing you 20 months, which is 8,000 Ghana cedis. And if you're in first year, 10 months, which is 4,000 Ghana cedis.
What do you use this allowance for?
All right, sir. Thank you for this question. This is the question that every platform that I go on, they ask, and it worries me a lot. Because of the student allowance, you are unable to apply for student loan. And these allowances are being paid to the school, so that I have never stayed in the house for even 1 week, because since first year and 3 years down the line in the school, we go for clinicals, attachments. After school, that's vacation. Even the long vac is 3 months, but we spend 2.5 months in the hospital and the other places that we do our clinicals. These are the monies that the students use in their accommodation and other clinical apparatus when they go for these clinicals. So these are monies to be catered for the attachment and the clinicals. We have intrasem and we have out of semester. The intrasem, whilst in school, you go on ward and you go to other places. Even when we take the environmental health as a program, within second year, your second semester, the whole 4 months is being allocated for a practice. That one, they are being posted to these district assemblies to help to render service to the government. So these are the money that the government is supposed to give to the student to cater for these issues.
So now that you're not getting the allowance, how are you able to cater for what you say, what you describe as these issues?
All right, because we are unable to apply for the student loan, because the allowance, there are restrictions, there are principles, and also the student loan, there are principles attached to them. If you receive allowance, you are not supposed to go in for the student loan. So now, if you are not getting allowance, we have to go out to borrow from other people so that we can use to cater for our clinicals and attachments, so that we can sustain within the period of rendering the service to the country.
So you've been borrowing for 3 years?
Yes, please, sir.
Can I find out how much you owe now?
Actually, I've not even sat down to tabulate, because even as we speak, people call in for their money, and I can say that now I've borrowed since first year. I've borrowed more than that 12,000 Ghana cedis, because it goes to extra charges. When you go and borrow from somebody, the person will not give you the money just for free. There are interest rate on it. So other institutions who may like to offer help might add interest to it. So I can't really give an amount. So if maybe I might quote some amount, it's even less. Yeah, let's take 15,000 Ghana cedis.
But before the new government, what was the situation like with regards to your allowances?
All right. Before the new government, the schools of hygiene were receiving the allowance, and the time the president Mahama came into office, that he scrapped the allowance and instituted the student loan, of which you can go in for the student loan if you are not getting the allowance. But now the issue is different. Now it's only the allowance. So before this government, we were receiving the allowance, and also if we were not getting, we were going for the student loan.
So right now, you don't have the student's loan and you don't have the allowance.
Yes, sir. Right now we don't have the student's loan, and the promise being made to pay the allowance to have not been.
So you don't have the allowance.
We don't have any.
And you don't have the student's loan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is a question that, but this situation and the situation before, which is better?
So I may say that now to lose both your two eyes is to it's better to keep one of your eyes is to than to lose both of your two eyes.
How are you keeping one of your eyes?
Because
you were on allowance.
Yes, sir.
Said no, you go and take the student's loan, which is bigger than the allowance.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Bigger than the allowance.
Yes, sir.
Now you have a situation where you don't have the allowance and you don't have the loan too. Is that losing one eye?
Now we've lost both the eyes, because now the student loan is no more and the allowance too is no more. But at first, the allowance were being cancelled, but we were depending on the student loan. The student loan to one thing about it is you can get an amount of which can even help you throughout your 3 years, your entire 3 years, and you not pay. It's bigger. You not pay any penny to the institution until when you are working. Then they deduct it from you.
How big is the student's loan?
It depends on the amount you request.
What is the maximum you can take?
Okay, what I know, maximum you can take maximum like 50,000 Ghana cedis.
50,000?
Yes, sir.
And the allowance is 400 cedis
400 cedis per month, because 3 years, 50,000 is something that can help you, because even after school, you are supposed to go and rent for your national service. So if you project that amount, it can also cater for your service as well.
So now let's talk honestly. The loan and the allowance, which do you think is better?
Okay, so
you have a loan of 50,000, you have an allowance of 400 cedis, and this loan of 50,000 doesn't have any interest on it. It can cater for all your needs, including even your rent during national service. Which of the two is better? Okay,
I will go in for the student loan, because the student loan will only be deducted when we are working, and they don't deduct all your the salary. they deduct some portion of it. So, but the allowance times it delays. At times within 4 months, the allowance have not been paid. 3 months, the allowance has not been paid. And this one, these are the comparative needs that we compare the student loan and the allowance. So I may go in for the student loan if we are considering both the allowance and the student loan.
But not all students want to go for the loan. Some students prefer the allowance.
Some students prefer the allowance.
Because it is free.
It is free. And the challenge, the reason why I said I'll go in for the student loan is because at times within 5 months, the student, the allowance will not be coming. They will not pay the allowance. So if the student loan, you go in, that one is a fixed amount of which now you are using to cater for yourself. So you know how to manage it every month.
Do you pay fees?
Yes, sir. We pay fees. The schools of hygiene are the highest students who pay school fees among the other health institutions, because the school of hygiene do this attachment as a whole 4 months, even do intra-sem. So in a semester, which is 3 months or 4 months, we pay school fees 1,800, of which the nursing schools pay school fees less than 900 Ghana cedis.
So if you're paying fees, why are we then giving you allowance? Why don't we just take the fees off? Why are we giving you allowance and asking you to use your allowance to pay fees?
Sir, please, can you come again?
You're paying fees?
Yes, sir.
1,800.
Yes, sir.
About 1,800.
Yes, sir.
Why do we give you allowance and then the same people giving you the allowance take the allowance back as fees? Does it make sense?
Okay, so I think to my best of knowledge now, if we are supposed to pay school fees, then I think they should substitute the allowance as the fees and the student, because we have students in final year as I speak, they owe more than 5,000 Ghana cedis
in fees.
Yes, sir.
Wow. So yes, even if they collected the allowance for the year, they will still be having difficulty surviving.
Sure, because they will now go and pay their debt and also have to cater for the school fees.
Well, viewers, we are listening to Mr. Freeheart Owusu Ampomah, who is the president of the Student Representative Council of the Kwesi School of Hygiene. And they have many difficulties. One of the difficulties they are getting is that their allowances are not being paid and their fees are also so very high. We're going to go for a commercial break, and when we come back, I'd like to find out from Mr. Freeheart Owusu Ampomah what they've done to ensure that they get their allowances paid. Short break. Well, hello and welcome back to Talk Time. We are in a conversation with Mr. Freeheart Owusu Ampomah, who is the president of the Student Representative Council of the Kwesi School of Hygiene. Now, Mr. Ampomah.
Yes, sir.
So you have not been paid for some time.
Yes, sir.
What are you doing about the problem?
All right, sir. Thank you for the question. In 2017, that the allowance were being restored. I was in first year by then, and I know that the SRC team wrote petition on even which 2017 we did demonstration starting from Obra Sport a circle to the ministries, of which, and by then Honorable Kofi Ada was the Minister of Sanitation by then, and Mr. Michael Jato, Honorable Michael Jato, who is still now the Deputy Minister of Sanitation, received a petition from these leaders of the schools of hygiene at Accra Cultural Center. I don't know why they sent us there, because that place is like a bola. They keep refuse there. They dump refuse.
But you're from School of Hygiene, so if you present your petition at the bola, what is wrong with it?
All right, so Honorable Michael Jato received the petition, but nothing was done about the this allowance. In 2018 as well, they wrote petition upon petition. Even as I became the SRC president, my chairman Raymond Anochi and I myself and the entire team have written petitions, about more than 50. We have even petitioned the president office, of which the president wrote a letter to the sanitation ministry to call us to sit to resolve the issue. That meeting came off, but nothing was done about it. Also, we petitioned the Ministry of Finance to inquire if the budget truly we have been approved by the ministry to pay the allowance, and the Deputy Minister of Finance, Madam Ampomah, has confirmed that in 2017 the schools of hygiene were being budgeted for. So she's even confused why the schools of hygiene have not been paid. But what she knows is the 2020 supplementary budget that was approved by Parliament, the schools of hygiene were not being captured. So we should go back to the Ministry of Sanitation, now engage them that their budget allocated at Ministry of Finance, if they can pay this money from, then she don't have a problem. But the total money that the ministry is owing the schools of hygiene is 9,096,000 Ghana cedis. She thinks that when we go to the Ministry of Sanitation, they would help resolve the issue. So on 6th of August, we picketed at the Ministry of Sanitation with our mattresses, with all the students, some of the students from Ho joining us here, some of the students from Tamale joining us here. And at that day, we met the chief director who issued some letter that the ministry has written to Ministry of Finance to help resolve the issue. So these are we have all the documents. Even I brought the documents here that they further on book an appointment with us with the Deputy Minister of Finance in charge of budget, Madam Abena Osei. And unfortunately she wasn't at the office, so we called her and she was like she has received a letter of that sort at now it is on her desk working on it, and she's at the constituency. So we should go back to campus, and when she come back during the weekend, we should arrange for a meeting at her office Monday. That'll be 10th of August. So on Monday morning, we called her that, Madam, please, we want to know the time that we will come to your office to have the discussion on how to give clearance to the student to pay the allowance. So she said that she wanted to tell us something. And we were like, okay, what of the meeting? She said that what she's going to say is the same thing that when we come and meet her, she will tell us. So we also gave her the go-ahead. And she said that the letter that the Minister of Sanitation wrote to her, unfortunately, there's no budget attached to it. So we were like, how? On the 6th of August, you told us that this letter is on your desk and you are working on it. So now then you are telling us that there's no budget attached to it. If you have told us earlier on, we wouldn't have even gone back to campus to sleep there. We will sleep at the ministry for them to know that we are serious. So she said that that's the truth behind the letter. We're like, okay, fine. So on the following day, we called for press conference to give out our grievances to the media for the president to have a view on that, because this is so disheartening. Now, the Ministry of Sanitation is saying that they've written a letter to Finance, and now Finance is saying that there's no budget allocated for that letter. So she don't know what to do. So last week Monday, just this past Monday, we sent the student back to the Ministry of Sanitation to still demand, because the president said be a citizen but not a spectator. So that's the main reason why we are even interested in the allowance, because as a president that we know that he has been a lawyer before, and we know that even still he's I don't know whether he's still a lawyer. We said that we should fight for your rights. So as citizens of the country, we are fighting for our rights. So we went back to the Ministry of Sanitation. And that Monday, we have already informed the police about our intentions being at the Ministry of Sanitation, and they even gave us some do's and don'ts. When we get to the Ministry of Sanitation, we shouldn't block assets, we shouldn't infringe on people's rights. So we even advised the students before we took them to the premise. So we only went to the premise with our mattresses and foodstuffs, that Gary, and she told that, because that's the only means of survival even on campus. So there were police deployed team that came around, Accra riot control team. and the commander was Mr. Freeman.
We'll come to the police.
All right.
Later.
So that day the ministry told us that that's the letter. So that's what happened on the Monday. On the Monday, so he said you come to the police side. So I will not even come there. On the Monday.
How long does it take for you to graduate, from the School of Hygiene? How long is the duration of the course? Is it a 3-year course, a 2-year course? What is it?
It's a 3-year course. Sir.
3-year course.
Yes, sir.
And you haven't been paid this allowance for 3 years.
Yes, sir.
So you are the people who were in first year when the allowance was restored.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you finish your examinations and you go home, it means finito.
That means that you are done with school. And when you have written your exams, means that you are no more a student.
So you can't take the allowance.
Yes, sir. That is it. You can't take the that's what I know.
What has been the official response to your demonstration?
The response was that they've written letter to the Ministry of Finance. That has been the story 3 years down the line.
So anytime you demonstrate, they say they've written letters to the Ministry of Finance.
That has been the story 3 years down the line.
Have you ever been manhandled in the demonstrations?
All right, sir. Thank you for this question. On the said Monday that we met at the Ministry of Sanitation, we had a team from the police, and the ministry police team came around with their commander, DSP J.O. Bonsu. That he is the commander of the ministry's police, and also we had the Accra route control team led by Master Freeman. He is also the commander. They stayed with us throughout the day, and even applauded the students that they came there with no violence, and they have really comported themselves very well. And around 5:20 p.m. Monday in the evening, they said that they are going, but they cannot assure us of our safety. But if we will want to sleep at the ministry, they don't have any problem. So we should take care of ourselves. And even the ministry police commander said that if there is time, he would deploy his men to come to the Ministry of Sanitation to check around what's going on. So as soon as this police team left the premise of the Ministry of Sanitation, in about 20 minutes to 30 minutes, we were there, and even the students have laid their mattresses and they are about to sleep because it's getting late. And so then we saw that about 5 police car alarming coming to the Ministry of Sanitation. We were like, how? Most of the students were asleep, but the leaders, we were still standing. So one big van with 4 of their pickups, policemen armed, and policemen were more than 50. And the student, our total population at the premise was 68. That's about 70. So they got down, and the police commander just said, you guys should move out. You guys should move out. We are like, how? Because we have been here, and now the 2 police commanders says that we can sleep over. So they don't have any problem. And even if we were there with violence, I don't think they will even allow us to even stay there for 1 hour, because that's the police team. And they even applauded us. And he's there. He said he's not there for any conversation. He's not there to listen. I said, sir, even we want to listen to them. So the leaders, we came forward that we want to speak to them, and to listen to them, what they have for us, so that we can also tell them the side of our story while we are sleeping there. And he said he's not there to entertain anything. He has been tasked to sack us from the Ministry of Sanitation. That's the only thing that he said. And even trying to talk to him, then he ordered his policemen that policemen move, action. And we were like, how? A police that you are supposed to keep the safety of citizens and unarmed students, now you are here saying they should move. And you know, where the students were sleeping, that was the car park at the Ministry of Sanitation. And you know, these are not, that's not the place free that you can move around. So the policemen started chasing the students they started using something called, I don't know, that's my first time seeing that a soccer. It's light. When they light, then fire comes out of it or something. I don't know where they even got some of hot water or something from. And they started using pepper spray on the students and using belt on students. These students, some of them, even the ladies, the majority of us were ladies, and some of them they are messes, and you harassing them this way. Now some of my students even got hurt. There is one lady who collapsed that my emergency team rushed her to the Owusu polyclinic. So the other two who got severely injured, we rushed them back to Kolebu campus to treat them, because we are health students and we are always been working at the, because we cannot bear the cost, because when we take them there. So they sacked that from the Ministry of Sanitation. We even got to the police headquarters at the ministry to even take a bus. These policemen said they will not allow us. Still beating the students. We're like, how? So at that time, the other media houses were drawing closer to the student body to know what's going on. So they even drove us from the place and still were beating us and harassing the students, because students, we are with nothing. We came with mattress and just our bags. They even packed some of our mattresses and our bags that contains our keys, that when even we get back to campus. Now we said that we should go to campus. They have seized the bags and the mattresses in one of their pickups, a full pickup. And now they drove us. We even got to Tema station. That now buses are around. We want to enter into Tema station so that we can pick a bus and go to Kolebu campus. This policeman said, no, we're not allowed. So I said, sir, so now what is the problem? You said we should go back to Kolebu campus. Now we want to take a bus. We don't want. So we go to the Yoko office. Now we made a headway to the Supreme Court area. So as we go to the Supreme Court, then I told them that now we are tired. If you want to kill us, because we are the citizens of the country, and the police, we are there for the safety of citizens. If you want to kill us, now you can kill all of us. Then you go and tell your people who sent you that you have finished, you have completed the tax. And at that time, most of the media houses were around. As soon as we told them that, they all joined their buses. Now they drove with our items and they moved out from the premise.
Have you received your mattresses and keys and so on?
All right, sir. As I speak now, we have still not been able to retrieve our mattresses and our bags from them, because the minister then the following day directed the police to release the items to us, but they have still not. And we also don't want to go forward for our items, because now if we go for the items and some of them are damaged and some of them are missing, as leaders of the students, we cannot buy that. So we are waiting for the minister to come.
So you were promised allowances.
Yes, sir.
You didn't get.
Yes, sir.
You protested and you were beaten.
Yes, sir.
And your things have been seized,
yes, sir,
and have not been returned to you. What is the next stage?
All right, sir. We came to the ministry again the following morning, and with the students, with a different set of mattresses, because we are very furious and angry and disappointed on the actions being meted to the students. So we came back to meet the minister herself to channel our grievances through her. Now, we were there, then they said that the minister is calling us for a meeting. So we went in for the meeting, and the minister said that she has heard what's going on, the brutality. So she was worried. And we said, what do we want? So we said that it's a simple and short message that we want to put across. We want a financial clearance, or you bring out a table in front of the Ministry of Sanitation. Now we split on the money on it. Then you share to every student 12,000 cedis. Without this clearance or the money, we don't need anything else.
Well, viewers, we are talking to Mr. Freeheart Owusu Ampomah, who is the president of the
Kwesi
School of Hygiene. And we are talking about problems that the schools face and problems that the students have been facing. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we will do the concluding part of this interview. Short break. Well, hello and welcome back to Talk Time. We are talking to Mr. Freeheart Owusu Ampomah, President of the Student Representative Council of the School of Hygiene, Kwesi School of Hygiene. So, sir, when is your final examination?
Our final examination was supposed to take place on 20th of July, of which we boycotted the exams. So we came into an agreement with the ministry that upon receiving the clearance, we have asked for extension, of which they agreed that when we get the clearance, they will extend the time for us to complete our exams and go out from school.
So your position is no allowance, no exam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So if they don't pay you the allowance for 10 years?
All right, sir. I don't think they can do that. And if they can do that, we will be very disappointed, because this is the last year, as the president promised, to pay the allowance. So we are still waiting for the president to instruct the ministry to help pay the allowance.
What is the future of students of School of Hygiene? What kind of future do you have?
All right. So now even the government, upon government have neglected the graduate from the schools of hygiene. This year, the students who completed the schools of hygiene, they were in the house. Those completed 2010, 2011, 2012. So 10 years, 8 years graduates, they were still in the house, and they have now received their clearance to be posted this September, and the nation, the government have downplayed the schools for a very long time. So even the schools of hygiene have future, because they can help solve the sanitary issues in the country, and they can also in the health sector we play important role in that. So we have future if the government absorb us.
And if they pay your allowance?
And pay our allowance as well.
Well, viewers, we have been listening to Mr. Freeheart Owusu Ampomah, President of the Student Representative Council of the Kwesi School of Hygiene. We heard all their problems. Please continue staying with Pan-African Television, because we bring you the best in everything, best in health, best in entertainment, best in sports, best in news, really, the best in everything. So please stay with us until we meet you again next week. It's goodbye from all of us, including our boss, the director of the show, Adam Lumo. See you next week. Bye-bye.